So these are the tools that I ended up getting in Japan. I really did rein in what I wanted to get. I chose items that I believed I would use a lot and not just for the novelty. So I will just go through them now. So these are two secateurs. This one is, I believe it's a bit like the Falco's one. So it's like this is the Falco equivalent of their standard secateurs. My favorite, my favorite garden center in Australia, which is my local garden center when I live in Australia. The owner of the garden center, he uses ARS VS8s, and he sells them at his garden center when he gets them in stock for about 90 to 100 Australian dollars. And these ones these are the same, but in yen converted to Australian, they're about 40 Australian dollars. So I got a mini chocky, so a smaller secateur. So it does say that you can go through like mini branches. I was Google translating when I was in the store. I don't know what it says now, but those are my two secateurs. This is not going to be used until next year because summer is officially over, but I got an arms cover, which I thought would be very handy if I wanted to wear short sleeves but wanted to cover my arms. So those are arms covers. I got this in the Toyama Home Center in a gingham pattern. This one was also from the Toyama Home Center. I had never seen it in any of the other places. And when I showed my boyfriend, he said, "You got a large vegetable peeler." And funnily enough, the translation is like weed grass peeler or something like that. So the way you use it is basically the same as a peeler. You peel the ground and scrape the weed, like what is it? It says cut and then you rake. So you cut the weeds from their roots, then you rake them into a pile, and then you'll be able to weed. So this is a weeding peeler, and this was in the agricultural section of the Toyama Home Center. So I'm assuming farmers use this. So if it's good enough for Japanese farmers, it's good enough for my little vegetable plot. And I think I'm most excited to use this because it kind of reminds me of a stirrup hoe, which is kind of has this swivel thing as well, but it's just one blade. It's not serrated, and I can't find a stirrup hoe in this country for some reason. So this is like a mini one. These two are sickles. And I got them in Osaka in I can't remember what the home center was, but it was in the city of Osaka that I got it. So this one is a serrated sickle. I Google translated it, and it said it's for weeding or rice. So if you want to harvest some rice, you can use this serrated sickle. So I'm assuming you just cut weeds above the root, so you don't put it in the ground, but you cut it above the root, or harvest rice. Oh, and there's a little hangy thing. But this is not made in Japan. This was made in China, so I'm assuming they use these in China too. And because this is the same brand, I'm assuming it is also made in China. Yes. And this one is also a sickle, and it's like a weeding sickle. So you kind of cut it as well on the soil line or dig it. So those two are also for weeding. So many weeding tools. I have so many weeds, so I understand. The last tool I got was a hori knife, but in Japan they are also known as field knives. This one is by Nisaku, which I think also sells overseas, but not in the Netherlands. I hadn't found it in Osaka, so I had assumed that maybe it wasn't something that you could find. Maybe it was just an export thing, but this one is very, very heavy duty. This was nice and sharp. I felt the blade and it was like, ooh, very, looks really cool. But yes, so I already have a Hori Hori knife, but this one was just from like an online web shop, a garden web shop, and it's been fine. But I just thought I just felt like I needed to get a Hori Hori knife in Japan, and they are quite similar, except this one has a plastic handle. Like it's very hard and strong feeling plastic, and the other one is a wooden handle, so it won't get as weathered as this. The blade this one is a lot sharper than that, and the cutting part is also quite sharp. The serrated part is really sharp, enough to really do some damage if you accidentally cut yourself. In Japan, apart from gardening, they are also used outdoors for harvesting mountain vegetables. So some people, it is their hobby during the right time of year is to go up into the mountains and harvest vegetables out in the wild. So that's why they are sometimes called field outdoor knives or field knives. And this brand, they sold a few different kinds of field knives. There was one where it was flat at the top, and it was to open up oysters. I'll see if I can find the picture for that. And that was really interesting, but I'm not going to be opening oysters anytime soon because I don't eat seafood. So that was my tools haul. I got one last thing, which I'm actually really excited about, like unnecessarily excited about, but I also got a a garden apron from Montbell. It's such a funny story when I tell. I think it's a funny story, but I can't remember where we were, but I turned on the TV in our hotel and there was a travel show on it where a Japanese man goes around Japan glamping. So he goes to different kinds of camping spots and then he reviews the camping spots and everything else. So he goes to one camping area and his host is an old man wearing a Montbell garden apron. And I saw this old man wearing a garden apron and I'm like, oh my gosh, I also want this garden apron. I've never heard of Montbell before, but I looked it up and it's just a Japanese outdoor wear brand. And so I got influenced by an old Japanese man on a travel show, so I ended up getting a Montbell garden apron. And because of that old man, I have gotten so many Montbell clothes. I think that some of the things are really cute. And I also influenced my sister to get a Montbell garden apron because she is actually there right now and she also bought one because it's very versatile. They've got like, this is like a kangaroo pocket here, so if you're gonna harvest a few things and you don't have any pockets on you, that's something that you can put in. You can also put tools here. They've got these little, what are they called? I can't remember what those are called, but you can hang things here. There's a zip pocket here. And they've got a handy pocket up here if you're going to put like keys or something. There's just a lot of pockets and girls love their pockets. The bottom part is split. So if you're going to go onto your knees, the apron is not going to hinder that because it's split for both of your legs to bend. But if you want it all in one, you can Velcro the two pieces together, which I think is really handy. And it is just a one size fits all. So the length from your neck can be changed. So I'm really excited about that. Maybe I'll wear that today. I did take a really bad photo of myself in the Montbell store, I believe in Tokyo. So Maybe I'll put it up on the screen. And here we are 2 years later, almost to the day since I bought these tools in Japan. I'll tell you how I use them, how I feel about them 2 years later, and I will tell you which ones I think were worth it in the end to get, and which ones I probably could have done without. We are starting with the grass cutting peeler. That's what it said on the packaging, and this is how I use it. So I sort of use it like a stirrup hoe, where you kind of glide it over the dirt. It's really good for seedlings, and you can flip it over to kind of rake away what you've loosened up in the soil. I use this in areas with a lot of weed seedlings where I can kind of rake it just below the surface of the ground to loosen up a lot of the seedlings. It's pretty easy to use, but it is actually not my go-to tool for places like this. So as a tool, I do enjoy using it, but I actually don't really use it all too often. This is the little serrated sickle, and I use this a lot for weeding. As you can tell, the handle is dirty and grimy, but well used. So like the grass peeler, I just put it just underneath the surface of a plant, and the serrated edges just pretty much lift it out of the ground really easily. There's like no effort to it whatsoever. It works really well with shallow rooted weeds. So these ones that I have a lot of in the garden, just as they're really small, instead of plucking them out by hand, I can just use the sickle and run it underneath the ground and it'll just lift it up. It's just really, really handy, really, really useful, and it makes quick work of the tiny itty bitty weeds that I have millions of. So do I like this one? Yes, very much so. If I need to weed an area, I have this in my hand. If I recall, it was only a couple hundred yen, so that would probably be like 2 or 3 euros in the end. So this is a definite recommend. It's only a couple 100 yen, super cheap, and it's really, really handy. The next one is a hand hoe. I think this is a Japanese weeding hand hoe. I'm not entirely sure about the exact name, but this one is really good to pick out weeds with deeper roots. So this is like a dandelion. They have quite deep roots, and even though it doesn't get the whole root out, it does loosen it up enough that it's quite easy to take out. So the sickle does really good work with smaller weeds, and this one does really good work with the bigger, stronger weeds. I also use the blade end, sort of like the grass cutting peeler. So that's why I don't really use the other tool, because I can kind of use this one instead. So I tend to use the serrated sickle and the hand hoe in tandem when I'm weeding a general area. It makes really quick work of weedy messes, that's for sure. Would I get this again? Definitely. I don't know what I would do without it, to be honest. It's one of those tools that have become a staple, like a trowel and a hori hori knife. These are the two secateurs that I bought. Both of them are ARS brand. So the white one is a mini chocky. That one has a clip that makes it close, and the red one has a self-locking mechanism where you squeeze the handle and the lock will fall, and then you can open and close it. But to lock it again, you kind of have to use your own thumb. It's quite easy to unlock it, just the squeezing of the handles and then it unlocks. But yeah, the re-locking, I wish that was a bit more automatic, but that's not really an issue. Both of them have held up very nicely in the last 2 years, and it helps that I cleaned them very recently as well, so they look very shiny. And they both cut very, very well as well. So when you cut, it doesn't take a lot of pressure to cut like a twig or anything like that. It's got a very clean cut. So the red VS8, the cut is very clean. There's no fraying or anything like that. It's just like cutting through butter a bit. It's very nice. a bit more effortless than a Felco secateur, which I also have. And I really enjoy using the red ones a lot. The white mini chockies are very similar. I don't really feel much of a difference. They have the same amount of give when you cut. Very, very easy. I never really use it for really thick branches or anything like that. I have like a saw for that. So for twigs and sticks, I and also like pruning things, they're very these are very good to use. Out of the two, there's no real discernible difference. But if I was to choose, I would choose the red VS8 ARS secateurs. The white ones are fine, but because it's got a white handle, the dirt does not come off. I have cleaned them very thoroughly, and it does stain. The red ones, you don't really see much dirt after you've cleaned them. It's not as noticeable as the white ones. So if I was to choose between the two, I would choose the red ones. And the last tool that I have is the Nasaku field knife, which is also known as a hori hori knife. Out of all the tools, this is probably my least used one. There is nothing inherently wrong with it. I have used it a few times. I think everybody knows how a hori hori knife is used. There's plenty of YouTube videos about people getting their hori hori knives and reviewing it. So this is me doing a very bad job of showing how I use it, this is not how I use it, but this is just something I was doing. Anyway, the blade is very sharp. I think it's too sharp for my preference. It is knife sharp. So if I was to run my finger across the blade on either ends, I would seriously cut myself. This is a really, really, really sharp knife. And compared to my other hori hori knife, it's night and day. The other one is a lot less sharp. I can run my finger against the blade, no problem. I feel a little bit safer using it. Not saying that the Nasaku one is bad or anything, but I just feel a little bit safer using my less sharp hori hori knife. So that's why I don't really use the Nasaku one. It's just more of a feeling more comfortable using my more blunt hori hori knife. And here's a bonus, my Mont Bell garden apron. Do I still use it? Every time I'm in the allotment. It's the best. I love using it. It covers my clothes so I'm not as dirty. I love the pockets, couldn't live without it. 100%. If you were in Japan, get a Mont Bell garden apron. It is the best. And that was my 2-year retrospective on the tools that I bought in Japan. So on the left are the tools that I really, really like using. Still use them every time I'm gardening. And on the right, the ones I don't regret buying, but the ones that I haven't really used that much in the last 2 years. Hopefully this was helpful. Thank you for watching and goodbye.